Nigeria. Industrial structure. Remember, Nigeria is in West Africa. It is a country that has been identified as a newly emerging economy, or NEE. This map shows its regional location. The countries of Mexico, Indonesia, Nigeria and Turkey have been known as the mint economies by economists since 2013. It is an acronym used to identify countries with rapidly growing economies and large populations, amongst other similar characteristics. This graph shows the rapid growth in Nigeria's economy. In 1960, after its independence from Britain, its GDP was just $4.2 billion. Between 2000 and 2020, it grew rapidly, from $69 billion to $441 billion. The steep rise indicates a rapid growth and increasing wealth. By 2050, the World Bank predicts Nigeria will be the 13th largest economy in the world. This is much higher than its current position of 22nd. It is expected to have a GDP of $4.91 trillion. This would make its economy larger than Canada, whose GDP is expected to be $3.47 trillion, and Italy at $3.42 trillion. However, it is important to note that although Nigeria has a rapidly growing economy, much of that income does not get to the majority of its population. Its growth has created a growing wealth gap. In fact, 60% of Nigerians live in extreme poverty. This is the result of government corruption, amongst other factors. There is a particular geographical divide in Nigeria, where the poorest areas are in the north and the richest are in the south. Industrial structure refers to the proportion of people who work in each sector of the economy. The four sectors are primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Primary is the extraction of raw materials from the earth, for example farming or oil extraction. Secondary includes industries that manufacture products from raw materials, for example in an oil refinery. The tertiary industry is one which provides a service, for example retail and banking. And finally, the quaternary industry is the knowledge-based or high-tech industries such as software companies. We are going to focus on the industrial structure of Nigeria, of which quaternary is negligible. As these pie charts show, Nigeria's industrial structure has changed quite significantly since 1960. Nigeria's economy in 1960 was based around the primary sector, in particular agriculture, which accounted for 61% of GDP. Subsequently, this has shrunk down to just 23%, with a big drop occurring between 1991 and 2021. Let's explore the reasons behind this decline. So why is the primary sector shrinking? Firstly, farms are becoming more mechanised, meaning there are more tractors and other machinery. Therefore, fewer people are needed to work the land. The discovery of oil initially led to a significant increase in those working in extraction. However, workers are often now sourced from abroad. Nigeria's workforce are attracted to better paid jobs in the manufacturing and services sector. This has led to an increase in rural to urban migration and is resulting in fewer people living in rural areas. Looking more closely at the tertiary or services sector, we can see that in the last 30 years particularly, this has had a rapid growth. It has grown from accounting for 33% of GDP to 50% of GDP. Let's look at the reasons for this growth. So why is the tertiary sector growing? Firstly, there have been rapid advances in technology. This has also seen the growing industry of telecommunications, with over 115 million mobile phone users in Nigeria. There is a growing film industry in Nigeria, known as Nollywood, which now produces more films than Hollywood. Lastly, informal industries have now become formalised and are included in GDP figures. Finally, as we might expect from a newly emerging economy, the fastest growing sector is the secondary or manufacturing sector. Between 1991 and 2021, this has grown from 9% of GDP to 27%. Nigeria was once dependent on exporting products for them to be processed, as the facilities were inadequate. However, it can now be done in the country itself, making Nigeria's manufacturing sector the fastest growing, particularly cement production. Let's look at other reasons for this rapid growth. So why is the secondary sector growing, in particular, so rapidly? Firstly, Nigeria has a good geographical position in West Africa to export by sea or land to the rest of Africa. Nigeria has a large and growing population, which gives it a large and relatively cheap workforce. Increasing wealth in Nigeria means there is a growing market or customer base at home. And finally, Nigeria's infrastructure is improving, including transport and telecommunications. So what impact is all this change having on economic development in the country of Nigeria? The growing manufacturing sector can stimulate economic development. This is known as the positive multiplier effect. This example shows how this can occur in countries such as Nigeria. Initially, a new factory or oil refinery is built. This means that local suppliers or services are used to support the new industry. This creates jobs, giving regular paid work. Workers will then spend their wages in the local area, which gives increased tax revenue to the government from those wages and new businesses. This tax can then be spent on improving local infrastructure and services. These improvements mean the area becomes a more desirable location for other industries, which then leads back to the beginning, and the process continues. Summary: Nigeria's industrial structure has changed from an economy based on agriculture to one based on manufacturing and services. This is the result of the mechanisation of agriculture, rural to urban migration, and workers seeking better paid jobs in industry. In particular, Nigeria's manufacturing sector is rapidly growing, creating jobs and increased taxes for the government. This results in a positive multiplier effect, where the benefits have a knock-on impact and the country attracts further investment. Keywords: primary industry, industries which extract natural resources from the land or sea. Secondary industry, industries which are involved in changing natural resources into new products, known as manufacturing. Tertiary industry, industries which provide services to customers. Informal industry, a sector of the economy which is not monitored or taxed. And GDP, the total value of goods and services produced in a country.